Hi friends! We've been all told that sunscreen protects us from the sun and that the sun is the main culprit behind rising skin cancer rates. But here's the contradiction. More people are using sunscreen than ever before, and yet melanoma rates keep climbing. And most of us, we're spending more times indoors than any generation before us. So how is it excessive sun exposure if we're staring at screens inside all day? For a while, I thought it was due to the ozone layer thinning, but that's not the answer either. The ozone hole is actually getting smaller. In this episode, we'll explore a different angle and why the future of protecting your skin's collagen might come from your grocery store. As a medical doctor, I am not disagreeing that UV radiation from the sun photo-ages your skin, and it increases certain skin cancers. Premature wrinkles means DNA damage, and you can get that from a tanning salon. But we also know that sunlight triggers protective, healthy mechanisms in our body for healthy mitochondria. The sun protects people from having mood disorders, sets your circadian rhythm, and it also stimulates the production of vitamin D. And when it comes to cancer, this can't be explained by more sun exposure alone, because the data shows that we're actually getting less sun exposure and people are spending less time outdoors, which is supported by a nation of inadequate and deficient vitamin D levels. Kids aren't playing outside. They're playing on their tablets, computers, and phones. Now, what I'm seeing is the destruction of our metabolic and immune health. The rise of chronic inflammation parallels not only the rise of skin cancer, but also breasts, prostate, lung cancers, diabetes, fatty liver, heart disease, kidney failure, and autoimmune diseases. There is, however, one common theme that underscores all of these chronic health conditions, and that is micronutrient inadequacies and deficiencies. The world is getting overfed and undernourished in wealthy nations, and that's suppressing the immune system, leaving you vulnerable to the toxins in your environment. Australia and New Zealand are considered the world's skin cancer capital. Professor Margaret Weiser of New Zealand has spent her career researching micronutrients, specifically vitamin C and its effect on immunity and cancer. In 2018, she said, you'd probably be better off eating your product than rubbing it on. And that was in reference to cosmetic products and skin cancer. Now, by no means are we saying that sunscreen isn't protective. And of course, it is very useful if you use it correctly as one layer of protection against damaging UV rays. But even the Australian government recognizes that you can't just sunscreen your way through skin cancer. Sun protectants are like Swiss cheese. There's going to be gaps. Each protectant by itself is very limited in its effect. But when you use multiple layers and you stack them up on each other, well, those holes, they get smaller and smaller, just like stacking layers of Swiss cheese. And that's why in Australia, they say slip, slop, slap, seek, and slide. But what they have failed to do was to add slurp. When you eat your sun protectants, you are protecting not just your skin, but your entire metabolism and immunity from a variety of cancers and degenerative diseases. Unfortunately, the majority of the foods in the supermarket and in your favorite restaurants and in your pantry and your freezer are not only empty in essential micronutrients, but are likely filled with toxins that tax your immunity and metabolism. Now, no food is going to be perfect, and hence it's important to eat a diversity of micronutrient-dense foods to layer on that protection to prevent those nutritional gaps. So where should you start? How about starting in the produce aisle with a red bell pepper, which has more vitamin C than 3 oranges. Now, the reason why everyone should be focusing on vitamin C is because vitamin C is critical for skin repair. Your skin is an organ. It's actually the largest organ on your body. It makes up 15% of your entire body weight. Now, although the right form of topical vitamin C can potentially get you higher concentrations on vitamin C on the surface of your skin, it's not going to be able to thoroughly penetrate the entire skin thickness to get down to the blood vessels running deep through your dermis. Now, vitamin C is the most abundant antioxidant in human skin. And unlike plants and most animals, you cannot make any of the vitamin C on your own because you lack an enzyme called L-glucono-gamma-lactone oxidase. Your skin is constantly being attacked by pollutants in the air, in the water, in the food that you eat, in the sun, the solar radiation, smoking, chlorine and chemicals in your soaps, lotions, creams, swimming pools. These pollutants can make their way to the deep dermal layers of your skin. Have you ever smelled your skin after you get out of the pool? Hence, you need antioxidants like vitamin C and other micronutrients to constantly rebuild and protect your skin. Now, did you know that the outer surface of your skin turns over every month? You shed more often than snakes, but it's just not as dramatic. The point is, if you don't rebuild that tissue, then your body will be vulnerable to the pollution that surrounds you. It makes you susceptible to more DNA damage, as well as a whole host of other dangerous health consequences. Hence, it's super important to load up on vitamin C-rich foods, which are in fruits and vegetables. Bell pepper is actually a fruit, but less than 12% of people living in the United States actually meet the recommended intake of fruits and vegetables to get enough, an adequate amount of vitamin C. And we know this because you basically don't gain weight if you're eating enough fruits and vegetables. And we see the body habitus of people transforming in front of our eyes. And if you're struggling with losing weight, it's because you're not eating enough fruits and vegetables. And instead, you're eating super dense, calorically rich foods that lack the power of the micronutrients in whole foods. People are eating fake substitutes with a bunch of added sugar, fat, and starch, salt, artificial flavors, and colors, in the pretense that they have met an adequate intake of fiber. You know how many people have told me they had their fiber supplement for the day? Or the amount of people who think that they've eaten enough fiber after they eat a little bowl of salad. Have you seen how much air is trapped in your salad? There's really no fiber in your salad. So if you don't eat these powerful foods, you will still be exposed to pollutants that really have nothing to do with the sun. And then when you go out in the sun, it'll burn your skin more easily. And then you can't heal because you're missing the right micronutrient equipment. And the thing is, if you're not going to get it in your food, then you're going to have to take a vitamin C supplement that costs pennies a day. And sometimes when you're dealing with super duper skin damage, such as gaping wounds, your physician will give you a vitamin C supplement. When we prescribe a supplement, it's considered to be a medicine. Now, I see people with inflammatory skin conditions all the time. This is an infectious disease doctor's bread and butter. And the key to treatment is to allow the body to heal itself. And part of that is to get an adequate amount of vitamin C. Because without vitamin C, your collagen can't repair. Your wound will not heal. The thing is, your body has very limited stores of vitamin C. So this is a micronutrient that you should be eating every day, every meal in your food. But many people don't do that. And by the way, do you know which organ actually gets first dibs on your vitamin C? It's your brain. Your brain uses more vitamin C than any other organ in your body. So if you don't have enough vitamin C for your brain, your skin just isn't going to get any. This is why it's important to get an adequate amount. And not just meet the RDA level, which is inadequate. It's basically adequate to prevent scurvy. But if you're eating just to prevent scurvy, you've missed the boat of health. It's not difficult to get an abundance of vitamin C through just eating a normal diet full of fruit and vegetables. You have to eat those fruit and vegetables throughout the day. They should be a part of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, as well as a part of every healthy snack. And hence, when you eat a red bell pepper, it's super convenient. You can actually chop them up and mix it with your morning eggs. It could be a garnish, a flavor enhancer, or you can just wash this and eat it like an apple. It's basically a fruit. Neat thing about a red bell pepper is that it's not sticky, so your hands don't get all gunky after you eat it. Red bell peppers are actually best eaten raw if you want to maximize your vitamin C. So I often will just wash it and eat it like an apple. Or you can cut it up into strips and dip it in hummus. Sometimes I cut this in half, I take the seeds out, and I stuff it with whatever is on my plate. And I use this like a boat. And when you eat things rich in vitamin C, like a red bell pepper, you actually increase your iron absorption. That's why it's good to eat whole fruits and vegetables with your meal so that you can have the power of nutrient synergy. Now, if you want something more citrusy, then try number 2, a grapefruit, which has the highest amount of vitamin C of all citrus fruits. And there are several varieties of grapefruits. The white gold or blanco is a cross between the pomelo and the white grapefruit. Those are pretty sweet. The common red grapefruit has extra lycopene, which are cancer-fighting antioxidants, the same stuff that you would find in certain tomatoes. Now, pink grapefruits are more tangy. I personally like pomelos better as their flesh is softer, juicier, and easier to peel. Now, when I lived at home, my mom would frequent the local farmer's market. I think there was one at Cal Poly Pomona, and they would have pomelos for $1 each. Now, some of the fruits I'm sure were over a pound, just one pomelo. They were so delicious and fragrant. I would sit there and I would eat 4 at a time. And about an hour later, I would regret it because I'd be stuck on the toilet. But they were so delicious to eat that I would forget the next day that I had that problem. And so I would eat a bunch of them again. And when my parents would have visitors, their friends would come over and they would always compliment my skin. They all thought I had healthy looking skin growing up. I ate a boatload of fruit. The skin is composed of 2 main layers, the epidermis and dermis. The dermis is a part of the skin that's alive. It's a lot thicker. It's the one with the blood vessels and immune cells that protect your skin. Now, if you've ever accidentally scraped yourself and found a layer of skin that came off but you didn't bleed, that was the epidermis. Once you hit the dermis, you'll be bleeding. The main job of vitamin C in the thick inner dermis is to produce collagen, which is a spongy protein that gives your skin its look. So if your skin is healthy, it'll look plump with less wrinkles. You have special cells that make collagen. They are called fibroblasts. And as you age, your fibroblasts will naturally just simply make less collagen. There's really no way to avoid it. And everybody will eventually have characteristic features of aging. Your forehead will expand, your hairline will retreat, your ears will get a little bit longer because the cartilage in them starts to grow. The tip of your nose may start drooping because the connective tissue that supports your cartilage in your nose starts to weaken. You also start losing fat in your face. You know, when you're young, the fat is evenly distributed, so you have a very uniform, kind of roundish, plump face. But as you age, you will lose fat volume, and then it clumps up and shifts towards the bottom half of your face, downward. This makes your skin sink and sag, which is made worse when the fat shifts downward to the lower half and you get baggy around the chin and jowly in the neck. And then, of course, are there wrinkles. They appear on your forehead and in between your eyebrows. These are all caused by facial muscles that tug on your skin that's losing fat. But all is not lost. You can change some of those wrinkles. You can change the ones that you get from sun damage and from toxins like smoking and pollution. Those are the fine wrinkles. And that's where getting a more than adequate amount of vitamin C helps your skin maintain its collagen. And vitamin C does this by optimizing and decreasing inflammation in your skin. It also promotes skin healing. Now, lots of people I know understand that if your diet is lacking vitamin C, then you're at risk of scurvy, which is an inflammatory state resulting in dry skin, brown tinged skin, excessive bruising, slow wound healing. These are all symptoms of scurvy. But if you have any of these symptoms, people don't necessarily think they have scurvy. I have seen this condition in so many people of all different ages, and they don't realize they have vitamin C deficiencies. They don't eat fruits and vegetables. And if you don't eat fruits and vegetables, and if you're not taking a supplement, where are you getting your vitamin C from? The more vitamin C you eat in your diet, the more you can boost the vitamin C in your skin. Now, Professor Weiser, she wrote in chapter 9, the role of vitamin C in chronic wound healing, which is my field of expertise. Any infectious disease person will see so many skin problems. Your skin has a job to protect you from insulting threats, including pathogens. And in order to do that, you can't have any broken skin. It's basically leaving your front door open. Oftentimes we think of a skin as separate from the rest of our body, but the same processes that heal your skin heals all your internal organs. So when your skin is struggling in its metabolism, you can bet you're going to be struggling in your metabolism. Lots of people have fatigue, weight gain, retention of water, sore muscles, digestive issues with skin problems. And you may not see these changes all at once, but you sure will feel it. Your skin is a window.
Hi friends,
I am so thrilled that you want to take charge of your health and take charge of your food. Now, I know nutrition can be complex, but it doesn't have to be. And I'm here to support you in this lifelong journey. So if you point your camera app to this QR code, it'll take you to a link for a free handout that I created just for you. And if you like it, if you want to see other handouts, please go to the link in my show notes, and then you can leave me your feedback on what I could do to help you in your journey. Okay, back to the video now. To your overall health. If you have eczema, itchy, dry skin, chapped lips, psoriasis, acne, folliculitis, call it whatever you want. All of that is different shades of inflammation in your skin, with the root cause being micronutrient deficiencies. And it's not going to be just one micronutrient. It's going to be a whole host of micronutrients. And many people are biohacking on their face and putting on topical vitamin C. In fact, people believe putting topical vitamin C is better than eating vitamin C because your skin will actually absorb more topical vitamin C if it's in the right form. This is partially true. Remember how I told you that the skin has multiple layers? It has the epidermis and the dermis and the inner dermis. And when you put on topical vitamin C, you can get high levels on the outer layers of your skin. In fact, you can concentrate vitamin C 40 times more than what you can get taking oral vitamin C. But unfortunately, it's hard to get in the deep dermal tissue layers. Another problem with vitamin C is that the most biologically active form of vitamin C, L-ascorbic acid, has poor penetration into the skin because it is hydrophilic. It's also an unstable molecule. So the cosmetic industry has been trying out all different forms of vitamin C, like ascorbyl 6 palmitate and magnesium ascorbyl phosphate. There is also a cap in the amount of vitamin C that's useful. The optimal concentration of vitamin C in the skin has to be higher than 8%. However, if you have too much, you can actually get skin irritation. Now, when you expose your skin to the sun, your body makes free radicals, which leads to upregulating proteins called activation protein 1 that increase matrix metalloproteinases, which destroy collagen and increases elastin accumulation. So MMP makes your skin photoage by darkening your skin and increasing coarse, deep wrinkles, as well as superficial blood vessels called telangiectasias. Sunscreen by itself can block some of those free radicals that are produced by UV exposure. Now, vitamin C can inhibit the activation of AP1, which then inhibits the production of natural metalloproteinases that results in less collagen damage and slows down photoaging. Vitamin C is also critical for collagen synthesis and directly stabilizes collagen fibers by supporting two important key enzymes called propyl and lysyl hydroxylase. It also helps make more pro-collagen proteins and supports MMP1 tissue inhibitors that promote collagen degradation. Now, in the lab, it's been shown that vitamin C can help reduce inflammation caused by UVB radiation. And you can put topical vitamin C on, and you can get a higher concentration of vitamin C in certain layers of your skin. But what supports your skin is your blood vessels. You need to get nutrients in, right? Vitamin C by itself won't heal tissue. And did you know that 30% of your blood vessels is made out of collagen? And they are too dependent upon different matrix metalloproteinases to preserve your blood flow. In fact, vitamin C is known to help people lower their systolic blood pressure, which then promotes more blood flow to your skin. And it's been shown that diets high in fruits and vegetables, which are high in vitamin C, can reduce blood pressure in people with high blood pressure. And what a lot of people also don't realize is that when you have high blood pressure, you actually increase your risk of many different kinds of cancers, which include kidney, colorectal, liver, endometrial, esophageal, and breast cancer. We have an epidemic of high blood pressure, and many people are taking medications. Have you heard that taking certain blood pressure medications have been linked to an increased risk of skin cancer? Specifically, with a blood pressure medication called hydrochlorothiazide is with squamous cell cancers. Hydrochlorothiazide is known to induce skin photosensitivity to UVA radiation, which can penetrate through all the layers of your skin, causing damage to the blood vessels and collagen. Now, UVB doesn't go as deep because your keratinocytes and pigments can help your body deflect against that DNA damage. This protects you from skin cancer. Hydrochlorothiazide, though, impairs the body's ability to repair damaged DNA. Hence, It's even more important to eat foods that protect your cells from DNA damage, like vitamin E. Have you heard of nutrient synergy? I talked about vitamin C and iron. When two or more nutrients are combined together, sometimes they have a greater effect than either one taken alone. And many nutrients have this property, like vitamin D and magnesium. I mentioned vitamin C and iron, but when it comes to protecting the skin against radiation, from the UV radiation from indoors as well as outdoors, combining vitamin C and vitamin E works 75% better in protecting against redness than either one by itself. And a big reason is because these antioxidants, they help each other. Vitamin C regenerates oxidized vitamin E, and that's why it's important to eat vitamin E rich foods like almonds that are number 3. Did you know that eating almonds has been shown to reduce wrinkles? And guess which one of these ladies had less wrinkles? It's a lady on the top. Wrinkles significantly decrease at 16 weeks and continue to decrease at 24 weeks. And the ladies who ate almonds also had better skin hydration and less pigmentation. Vitamin E appears to protect cells and DNA from damaging UVA and UVB rays. Vitamin E absorbs UV light to reduce oxidative stress, and this effect not only helps before UV exposure, but also after UV exposure. Unfortunately, vitamin E supplements, they don't appear to work. And this is probably because vitamin E is not just one single molecule. Vitamin E is a family that consists of 8 different tocopherols and tocotrienols. And supplements use conjugated forms of vitamin E, and unfortunately, metabolism of conjugated vitamin E is not so good. It's actually quite low in the skin. Naturally, vitamin E is the most abundant lipid-loving antioxidant in the human skin. And most of it is in the outer layers of your skin, the epidermis. And there are different forms of vitamin E, including alpha tocopherol and gamma tocopherol, that we can find in your skin. Almonds are very high in alpha tocopherol. Now, have you ever felt that your skin was oily? Your sebaceous glands secrete oil called sebum. And when you eat vitamin E, it takes 7 days before that vitamin E changes your sebum and coats the outer layer of your skin called the stratum corneum. So if you have dry skin, then think about what you can eat that can get you vitamin E in your sebum to help nourish your skin. Have you heard of ozone therapy or maybe tried it? Now, whether you do ozone therapy or go in the sun too long, you'll notice that your skin will get drier. UV light and ozone actually lowers the vitamin E content in your skin. And as you age, you'll notice that your skin gets drier and drier because there's just simply less vitamin E that can reach the outside of your skin, the epidermis. And this is why people put topical vitamin E. Commercial vitamin E is typically esters of tocopherol that are supposed to be resistant to oxidation. Unfortunately, vitamin E conjugates do not have antioxidant function. And if you apply just regular vitamin E, it basically will get destroyed with exposure to UV light. So this is where pairing vitamin C with edible vitamin E foods can be very beneficial. The antioxidant effect of vitamin C actually protects vitamin E. However, too much of a good thing can actually be harmful. You really should avoid using a lot of topical vitamin E. Generally, a safe amount is less than 1%. These conjugated esterized forms of vitamin E that have no antioxidant benefit have been shown to actually cause skin redness and contact dermatitis. And maybe you're not reacting to the vitamin E, but you're reacting to all the other emulsifiers that are trying to stabilize that vitamin E and help deliver it. It's really hard to tell. That's why I basically rely on my food and I eat vitamin E in whole foods. You know, simply put, when you eat whole foods, you get a ton of other sun protective micronutrients such as carotenoids. And many of you have heard of beta carotene, lutein, and lycopene. These are just 3 of the most popular carotenoids. But did you know that there's actually 600 different types of carotenoids that's found in a variety of different plants? Lycopenes are found in tomatoes, which are number 4. It's been known for over 20 years that eating 40 grams of tomato paste with some olive oil can reduce sunburning by 40%. Now, this was a small experiment that studied 9 volunteers over 10 weeks, and they measured their lycopene levels in their blood after eating tomatoes. High intake of carotenoids is associated with the decreased levels of many degenerative diseases, including eye diseases like cataracts and age-related macular degeneration and cardiovascular diseases. This color color is so beneficial. And why are these carotenoids so beneficial? Well, they bind to oxygen-free radicals to protect the fat in your body. Do you know where you have the most fat? Well, it's in between your ears, your brain. Amongst all the different types of natural carotenoids, lycopene appears to be the most efficient antioxidant. You remember the synergy of nutrients? Well, this study showed that carotenoids and vitamin E work better than carotenoids alone. However, before you run out and start buying supplements, just know that supplementing the wrong way may actually increase your mortality. Hence, it's important to get the bulk of your micronutrients from eating a diversity of whole foods in your diet. Now, the lycopene content in tomatoes can vary significantly depending on what kind of tomato it is, how ripe it is, and how you cook it. The red tomatoes have lycopene that's close to 50 milligrams per kilogram, whereas those that are yellow can have as little as 5 milligrams per kilogram. Now, I love a fresh tomato, but now I'm always trying to heat it because you can increase the absorption of lycopene by heating it and adding a little bit of fat to your tomatoes. When you process the tomatoes, you're destroying the food matrix, so you're releasing some of that lycopene and allowing your body to access it so much easier. And this is opposite of what you want to do when you're eating fat or sugar, right? You want to slow those calories down so you don't get all that weight. So maintaining the food matrix is beneficial when we're trying to protect ourselves from saturated fat and sugars. But when we want to access these tiny little micronutrients, sometimes it's best to destroy that food matrix. Hence, the importance of eating some of your foods processed and avoiding other processed foods such as sugar and starch. And be careful with the nut butters or the seed butters, right? You're destroying the food matrix to access those calories better. That's why people gain weight when they eat bread with peanut butter compared to eating a bowl of farro wheat berries or whole peanuts. Now keep in mind, many different plants have red pigment, right? We talked about tomatoes, red bell peppers, well, apricots, papaya, pink grapefruit, guava, watermelon, they all have some lycopene. And I think I just told you 10 different types of food options. But don't forget about other carotenoids like beta-carotenes in sweet potatoes. Yesterday, I steamed some sweet potatoes, ate about a cup's worth, which is 240 grams. The protective effect of carotenoids, they take time to build in your skin. And this study showed that it takes a minimum of 10 weeks. So you can't just eat something the day before you go out in the sun and expect it to work. But when you do it on a daily basis, you build up a reservoir of different carotenoids, including beta-carotenes, that can help boost your collagen levels and decrease that UVA DNA damage by 30%, which translates into less facial wrinkles and better skin elasticity over a period of 3 months. I mentioned before that beta-carotene is vital to preserve your vision and immunity, which plays a vital role in cancer protection. Diets rich in beta-carotene are associated with lower cancer rates. Now, too many people believe that if they avoid all toxins, they won't get any damage in cancer. But that's not true because you can't avoid all toxins. Just living, even if you're in a bubble, your own metabolism creates reactive oxygen species, the same stuff that gets created from UV radiation. And this background level of reactant oxygen species production, just from being alive, is a part of the defense system of your immune system. It's a strategy to protect you from invading microorganisms. So it's like a bomb. Well, when you detonate the bomb, you get hurt too, right? And this is what happens to these reactive oxygen species. It hurts your own cells, even though they're supposed to protect you against germs. Luckily for you, your body has natural protective mechanisms to combat these toxins. You know, just brushing your teeth can cause you to release germs into your bloodstream, right? So this is why you always have to have a constant supply of reactant oxygen species. So when you get exposed to ozone, UV radiation from sunlight, pollution like cigarettes or smoke from your barbecue grill, you are potentially overwhelming your body's natural ability to detoxify those reactive oxygen species. And therefore, if you have a buildup of them, they'll do more DNA damage. Also, they damage your proteins, your cell membranes, your fats, right? It damages so many things, just like a bomb. Now, we would all be sitting ducks if our bodies didn't have normal processes to take care of these dangers. And your immune army can protect you from a variety of dangers if you supply it with the right vitamins and minerals, basically micronutrients, because the enzymes to protect you are dependent upon them. These antioxidants make your immune system more resilient to withstand these harmful natural stresses that bombards you and me on a daily basis. And when you eat a diet that's rich in beta-carotenes, you actually increase the number of immune cells that you have, including T lymphocytes. that live in your skin. That's actually what is causing local inflammation when you get sunburned. And as you age, the lymphocytic response actually decreases, and this actually increases your morbidity and mortality. Hence, it's an active process to do this on a daily basis to try to stimulate your immune system to increase its number and efficacy. And beta carotene has been shown to do just that. When you see an abnormal reaction to your skin, that is your T lymphocytes orchestrating the skin reaction. You can be allergic or just irritated by a toxin. And these toxins can actually live on you. It can actually be made by your own microbiome. Your skin has a microbiome. And what you eat can also permeate through your skin, including your supplements. That can actually alter your microbiome on your skin. And we talked about how when you eat vitamin E-rich foods, we can actually measure your vitamin E in your sebum about a week later. Now, if you were to get high doses of, let's say, a vitamin infusion, intravenous vitamin B12, you may notice more acne. And in fact, some people get such a violent response that they can get pustules and scarring. It turns out that when you eat anything, you're just not feeding yourself, you're feeding your microbiome that live in all different parts of your body. There are natural microbes that live on your skin, and drugs like corticosteroids, like prednisone, anti-tuberculosis medications, antipsychotics, some anti-cancer agents, they can actually cause acne and pustules to form on your skin too. And excess vitamin B12 apparently can do that too by promoting porphyrin production by a microbiome called Propionibacterium acnes. It's now called Cutibacterium acnes. Porphyrins get oxidized on your skin's surface, which causes a reaction on the skin. It's basically inflammation that produces acne. Vitamin B12 also has cobalamin because cobalt is a part of the vitamin. So some people can also be sensitive to cobalt, which produces a different type of skin reaction. It is still an essential vitamin, so everybody needs it. It's just never good to megadose anything. People who eat a vegan diet need to supplement with vitamin B12. In fact, many people are deficient in many B vitamins. And if you want to learn more about that, watch the next video.